Chafei Amud Aleph, starting from Chavdaled Amud Aleph on the bottom. V'amar Rab Chanina, אני ראיתי את רבי, I saw Rabbi, I'm sorry, Chavdaled Amud Aleph on the bottom. V'amar Rab Chanina, אני ראיתי את רבי, I saw Rabbi, during davening, שגיהק, which is he burp, ופיהק, he let air out, וניטטש, apshi, there are two types of apshi, from top or from bottom, passing gas, but we'll talk about that second. ורק, and he spit during tefillah, ומשמש, by the way, now I don't think all of it wasn't in one tefillah. Throughout time, he saw, that, you know. ומשמש בבגדו, he had a, Rashi said he had the lice in his clothing and he used his clothing to take it off. אבל לא היה מתעטף. If the tefillin fell away during tefillah, he didn't re-put it during tefillah because he didn't want to stop from tefillah. If the talit fell over during tefillah, he didn't pick it up. He left it like that. וכשהוא מפהק, when he used to yawn, היה מניח ידו על סנטרו. He used to put his hand over his to cover his face. מי טבעי, yes, a question, המשמיע קולו בתפילתו. Anybody who makes noise during tefillah, הרי זה מקטני המנה. That's considered he has less אמונה. He doesn't realize he's standing in front of Hashem. So, I'm sorry, המשמיע קולו בתפילתו, somebody who davening loud, he thinks Hashem doesn't listen to me. So let me make sure we can hear, you know, it's too old. בעמידה. You have to know about everything here בעמידה, yeah. המגביה קולו בתפילתו, someone who's raising his voice too loud, הרי זה מנביאי השקר, because the נביאים, we said by Eliyahu, used to scream to their God. So screaming on the tefillah, it's not appropriate. המגהק, and this is related to us, והמפהק, someone who's...
hiccups.
hiccups? לא, המגהק, it's yawning. לא, that's מפהק. מפהק is yawning, מגהק, שגיהק, we said he burped. Somebody who burped or yawned in tefillah, הרי זה מגסי הרוח, he's very arrogant. He burped during tefillah. המתעטש בתפילתו, somebody who sneezes in tefillah, סימן רע לו, it's a bad sign. ויש אומרים, no, let's see, there are two types of sneezing, upper and bottom. Yeah, the Gemara will explain. ויש אומרים, ניכר שהוא מכוער, and some say it looks like this guy is disgusting. The Gemara says, no, he's ugly. He's ugly, you know. Somebody see in the middle of tefillah, he's ugly. So the Gemara says, רק בתפילתו, someone who's spitting in tefillah, כאילו רק בפני המלך, as if he's spitting in front of the king. So all those items seems the Rebbe to do, and the Brachot said, you're not allowed to do. So how do we reconcile that? The Gemara said, בשלמי מגהק ומפהק לא קשי. When somebody burped or yawned, it's not a question. כאן לאונסו, when it was by emergency, אחי, you had a burp, you couldn't control it. Yeah. Or...
You got 2 hours of sleep.
You got 2 hours of sleeping, מפהק, is yawn. So it's honest. כאן לרצונו, when the Mishnah said it's not allowed, when it's by choice. אלא מתעטש, המתעטש, קשי, rather sneezing and sneezing, how can you say, I mean, sneezing is, Gemara understood, he has no choice. Are sneezing. So it's never by control. Why one time it says by Rebbe was okay, and the Brachot said it's not okay to...
There's 2 sneezes.
To sneeze, the Gemara says, לא... The Gemara says, לא, מתעטש, למה לא קשי? It's also not a question. כאן מלמעלה, כאן מלמטה. מתעטש מלמעלה, regular are sneezing. It's a... not by choice, and it's okay. And passing gas, that he called it tush milemata, and that's by choice, and that's why it's a problem. The Amar Rav Zera says, interesting learning, Hamilte, this thing, Ivlaili Bei Rav Amnuna, I heard it by the way, by the Bet Midrash of Rav Amnuna, Vetkilali, it's equal to me, Kikula Talmudai, it's like the whole learning for me. This learning was so special for me. Rashi said it, he used to sneeze a lot. So that's why he appreciated this learning. המתעטש בתפילתו, סימן יפה לו. Somebody who sneezes during תפילה, אפצ'י, סימן יפה לו. למה? כשם שעושים לו נחת רוח מלמעלה. And what a pleasure to sneeze, נכון? מלמטה, כך עושים לו נחת רוח מלמעלה. That's why it's going to have pleasure on top. That's why I hold. Somebody sneeze, shouldn't hold it. because then you have no נחת רוח. You know?
All
of the rain, it's נחת רוח. The Gemara says, אלא...
מה זה נחת רוח מלמטה? פה בעולם?
בעולם, כן.
לא למטה.
לא.
The Gemara says, אלא רק הרק קשה, רק הרק, if you spit when spitting, that's a קשה. We said the Rebbe did it, and the Brachot said he shouldn't do it. Gemara answer, no, רק הרק נמי לא קשה. Spitting on spitting is not a question. אפשר כדי רב יהודה, maybe he did it like רב יהודה, because there is a way to spit with a respect way, as רב יהודה says. דאמר רב יהודה היה עומד בתפילה, somebody was standing in תפילה, ונזדמן לו רוק, and he had saliva, מבליאו בטליתו, he can spit it out into his talit. ואם טלית now, if it's a nice talit, מבלואו באפרקסותו. He used to have cover for the head, like the Arab, jalabia, the bandana. Oh yes, he can wipe it. So when Rabbi spit, it was into that and not on the floor. So when we said it's a problem, it's on the floor too. But when we said it's okay if you observe it well. In our words, tissue.
Yeah.
The Gemara says, now your concern, you're being addressed now in the Gemara. Ravina, Aveka Yachor de Ravashi. Ravina was davening behind Ravashi. Nizdamen lo rok, and the saliva came to his mouth. Patke leachore, to the back. אמר לי, מה ההק? אמר לי, לא סבר מה ליד רב יהודה מבליאו באפרקסותו? Don't you hold like רב יהודה, you can put it on your bandana. Wow, what you doing? אמר לי, I'm sorry, אני נדייתי, I'm very sensitive. So for me, putting it in my clothing, it's not the best solution. And therefore, I do it backwards. So in our days, nobody hopefully does it to his clothing, so therefore it's okay to do it backwards.
Backwards, ורבין היה מאחורי.
לא, אבל לא על מישהו, לא חתמו עליך וכל זה, you know? Okay. לא. Can you even in the middle of tefillah to speak?
No, I'm saying...
You have a garbage can?
Not in the middle of Amidah. Like if a person just has...
אתם יודעים לעמידה, כמובן, do what you need to do. This is עמידה issue.
זה שקץ.
אין שקץ ברור.
They used to have handkerchiefs.
You're allowed to walk during Amidah.
They used to carry handkerchiefs in those days.
Right, yeah, his handkerchief.
אמרת
handkerchief זה...
שאין
ברור, כן. אבל באשי תקצו לו שם, ברור. המשמיע קולו בתפילתו. Somebody who raised his voice in תפילה, הרי זה מקטני האמנה. He's like, he has לא אמונה, he wants God to listen to him. אמר רבונה, לא שאנו, we didn't say it's a problem, אלא שיכול לכוון את ליבו בלחץ. אז אומרים, יש כוונה while he's saying it quietly. אבל אין יכול לכוון ליבו בלחש, he cannot have כוונה בלחש, in such a case, מותר, והנמי לי ביחיד. That's only if he daven by himself. אבל בציבור, if you have no כוונה, it's not my fault. עתי למיטרה ציבורה, is going to disturb the ציבור. If I may say, even shh in a shul also bothers ציבור. So if somebody is making you noise, don't make noise to everybody. Because when you do shh, everybody listen. So just observe it and move on. Okay. רבי אבא, אבק המשתמת מיני דרב יהודה, he used to ignore רב יהודה. למה? דאבק הבאי למיסק לארץ ישראל, he wanted to go to ארץ ישראל, and רב יהודה said it's not allowed. דאמר רב יהודה, כל העולה מבבל לארץ ישראל, עובר בעושר. רב יהודה said anybody goes from בבל to ארץ ישראל, is violating an assay of the Torah, שנאמר, בבל היבוא, the pasuk says בירמיה, they will be brought to בבל, ושמה יהיו, and they shall be there, עד יום פוקדי אותם לאום השם, until the day I will ask him to come back. So if you make your own way back without God telling you to come back, he's violating an assay. So he disagreed with him, but since he knew he wanted to go to Eretz Israel, in our yeshiva, our Rosh Yeshiva didn't believe in going to Eretz Israel.
Like the Sad Navin?
His wife. No, he said in general, usually people are going to Eretz Israel, unfortunately, they're not doing well. And their children going off the derech. It's really disaster what's going on.
So he says like, you should
So
make
in
aliyah?
whole, don't make aliyah. Rosh Yeshiva is not up, it's against aliyah. You want to go for honeymoon, for first
Vacation.
year in Eretz Israel, you and your wife, seder.
and to
But
learn.
aliyah, and to learn it's fine, but aliyah in families, it was very against. So anybody used to plan to go, they used to ignore the Rosh Yeshiva. Like that,
like this, yeah.
Yeah. So the Gemara says, so he said, Amar, before he went to Eretz Israel, he said, Izil ve'eshma mine milta mi beit vaida. I'm going to go over there in the Bet HaMidrash. I'm going to stand outside. You know, let me hear at least something before I go to Eretz Israel from Rav Yehuda. Ve'ad harafik, and then I'm going to go. Azali when and Ashkech eletana, he saw the Tana kamed Rav Yehuda was saying in front of Rav Yehuda the following. Aya omed batfila. Somebody was standing in the tefillah. Ve'nitatesh. We're talking about on the bottom. He passed gas. Mamtin, he's got to wait. עד שיכלה הרוח, until the smell goes away, וחוזר ומתפלל, and he goes back and prays. If somebody like had cholen too much before, and he's praying and something came out, he should wait, the smell goes away, ומתפלל. By the way, you don't need to wait for other people's smell. Only in your own smell you gotta wait. So if you in Motzei Shabbat or Arvit, and something going on around you, and doesn't smell the way it should, you are allowed to continue praying. Because we hold that any smell that has no source, it's not a problem.
Oh.
So there is a spray, they do
the fart spray, yeah.
Yeah, fart spray. It's okay to pray because there is no source. It's only shtiyot, they put the chemicals over there. So if somebody else has his gas, there is no source for it. Since there is no source for it, it's okay for the person next to him to continue davening. But the person himself cannot, he is the source, okay. So therefore, he's not allowed to continue davening. So this is halakha number 1.
What's the difference between if you're the source or someone else the source?
No, because you, the source of yourself. If somebody else, it comes from you.
So
somebody
else
part
is
of
the
you,
source.
right?
He's the
No,
source.
somebody else. There is no source. It's air in there. זה לא, זה באוויר. אני שומע, כי אתה כבר בא, אני שומע, אתה
If
אומר.
he sprays, then you have to say בסמים.
בדרך כלל זה יותר דוחה אחרים מאשר שלך.
כן, כן, מעניין, נכון, כן. איקא דאמרי, some said, היה עומד בתפילה, שולחן ערוך said that the following thing applicable only if he daven יחיד not in shul. הוא ביקש להתעטש, and he wanted to sneeze, מרחיק לאחוריו ד' אמות, he goes in the middle of 18, you in רפאנו השב ונרפא, you go reverse,
באמת רפאים.
4 אמות, he goes back 4 אמות, release, wait, ד' אמות הוא מתעטש, הוא ממתין, some says, הוא ממתין, he's gotta wait עד שיכלה הרוח until it will dissolve, and then וחוזר ומתפלל, he goes back to pray, but he gotta say something before, ואומר, ריבונו של עולם, יצרתני, you made us נקבים נקבים, חלולים חלולים, גלוי וידוע לפניך, it's known to you, חרפתנו וכלימתנו are shame and our embarrassment בחיינו in our life, ובאחריתנו, and at the end, after we'll die, we will be רימה ותולעה, going to be all worms. So you apologize to Hashem of what happened, הוא מתחיל ממקום שפסק, and he continued from the place where he stopped right before. The Gemara says, Amar, he said, אילו לא באתי אלא לשמוע דבר זה, די, גם just to listen to that was enough. Shulchan Aruch explained that the reason this didn't applicable only by Yachid, not by Tzibur, because we're very sensitive not to embarrass somebody. So if somebody in ציבור, אתה קולט אותו דו, זה עושה שלום, אתה גיבור לעולם השם, everybody praying behind him, he waits, ההוא next to him gets it, and then he goes back, balagan. So you should stay on the same place, made it happen if you have no choice,
Right.
and pretend like nothing happened, and continue the tefillah. Because if you will make a big thing of it, we'll be embarrassed. So this is applicable only by davening Yechid.
Using that same logic in Yechid, if he has to spit, he can also go then, right? Because if he has to spit, he doesn't want to go to his clothes.
Spitting is not embarrassing.
So can he, if he's in Tzibur, can he also step
go
away?
A good question, I don't know. Can he walk away? I don't know.
Instead of spitting behind, you know.
Yeah, on somebody for
Or-
sure not.
yeah,
If you discuss somebody else, if you spit and somebody else discuss, Chabad is not a problem.
That-
Because they do.
Yeah,
שהם מתחילים לברך too, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
But other people are not used to getting spit in front of them. If they will make them uncomfortable, then it will be a problem.
They go right on the floor.
Yeah, straight, yeah. Somebody told me that he was in a Chabad shul, then his son started crawling on the floor. He's like, no. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan. היה ישן בטליתו. Somebody was sleeping with his talit, meaning with talit in the Gemara always referred to a cloth. היה ישן בטליתו ואינו יכול להוציא את ראשו מפני הצינה. He cannot, it doesn't want, it's so freezing. You know, now it's so freezing in Florida. So I saw a guys in Winn-Dixie, and I saw look, they look like from up north. So I walked out. I said, "Oh my God, freezing!" They look at me. We are from Oregon. It was 25 last night. What are you talking about? I'm like, no, for us it's freezing. They couldn't take it.
They love it.
Yeah. So the Gemara says, so if somebody is freezing for him, it's like it's 68, you know, he's freezing and he cannot get his head out of the talit. So חוצץ בטליתו על צווארו, he can have the cover and he just put with the talit, he make a border he takes the garment and he put it around
Covering
the
his
neck.
face, or?
His face is covered and his body is covered also, but he was covering neck.
Right.
And since his neck is covered, his body do not see, his face do not see the race of his body. Therefore, even though he has no clothing, it's okay to read Kriyat Shema like that. That's addressing your questions. Because a man who reads Kriyat Shema not allowed to see his private area. So that's a way, if it's covering the neck, he doesn't see his private area.
But if you have a blanket over you, it's also okay then. If you have a blanket over you, it's also okay.
Yeah,
then.
the case of it, he doesn't want to get his head out.
Right.
So he's staying with the same blanket. If he has a blanket
I got you.
covering him up to his neck and wrapping him, and then but he's all covered. So you need to create מחיצה.
Got you.
חוצץ בטליתו על צווארו וקורא קריאת שמע. ויש אומרים על ליבו, and that's the halacha. We hold that only his heart needs to be covered. So we hold that the heart not allowed to see the private area. Not only the head. The heart also not allowed to see. So he will put the cover around his waist. He should make it tight around his waist so his heart doesn't see the lower area, and then he can daven. So, then he can pray קריאת שמע. ותנא קמא, הרי ליבו רואה את הערווה. But the תנא קמא, his heart is seeing the ערווה. נכון? If you cover only his face, his heart sees the ערווה.
Right.
The Gemara says, ליבו רואה את הערווה, מותר. If his heart sees the ערווה, it's okay. As long as his face is covered, it's מותר. That reminds me of a story. It was a guy in the mikveh, Bnei Brak, that all of his clothing got stolen, and only his towel left. So he's like, I'm going to walk on the street with a towel, everybody going to know me, לא נעים. So he took the towel, he wrapped around his face, he left the eyes open, and he ran home. אמר רב הונא, אמר רבי יוחנן, היה מהלך במבואות המטונפות. He used to walk on מבואות המטונפות, on pathways that are not clean, dirty. מניח ידו על פיו וקורא קריאת שמע. So by the way, Baruch Hashem, we have beautiful street. But Amud told me used to be in Jenin, in those places. So they have the front street on the alleyway. This is where all of the sewer goes. Not on pipes. It's open. It stays open, and on the back. So if he said, that's like Jenin still today. So he said if somebody is walking on the street, on the back of the, that's why we have alleyway still today. That's what used to be. The garbage supposed to be in the alleyway. All of the waste supposed to be there. So in Hollywood we have it. Elsewhere we don't have as much. So if somebody was walking on such an alleyway and all of the sewer smells bad, so he can cover his mouth and say Kriyat Shema.
His mouth.
His mouth. The Gemara says, אמר לרב חיסדא, האלוקים, I swear to God, אם אמרה לי רבי יוחנן בפומי, this is Rabbi Yochanan quote, Rav Huna quote by the name of Rabbi Yochanan. So he said, Rav חיסדא, האלוקים, I swear, אם אמרה לי רבי יוחנן בפומי, even Rabbi Yochanan going to tell me him himself, לא צייתין עלי. I would not listen to him. Ike de Amri, some said that it was quoted by somebody else. Amar Rambam bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. So it's not that Rav Huna said by the name of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, rather, Rabbi bar Chana said by the name of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. היה מהלך במבואות המטונפות, if you used to walk on a alleyway,
That's dirty.
a dirty alleyway, מניח ידו על פיו וקורא קריאת שמע, he's going to put his hand over his mouth and read קריאת שמע. אמר לרב חיסדא האלוקים, I swear, אם אמרה לי רבי ישוע בן לוי בפומי, לא צייתין עלי. Even רבי ישוע בן לוי will tell me in his mouth, I will not listen to him.
מעניין שהפה ולא האף.
Yeah, no, where the Tivrat Torah coming out from, that's what needs to be covered. The Gemara said, but Umir Amar Rabbi Yochanan Achi, would Rabbi Yochanan agree, would Rav Huna agreed with Rabbi Yochanan that it's okay to cover the mouth? ואמר רב הונא said, תלמיד חכם אסור לו לעמוד במקום התינופת. תלמיד חכם never allowed to stand on a dirty place. למה? לפי שאי אפשר לו לעמוד בלא הרהור תורה. He cannot stand without thinking of Torah. So if he prohibits standing because of thinking, how would he permit talking, saying Kriyat Shema into your mouth? The Gemara says, לא יקשה, כאן בעומד, כאן במהלך. So this is a new concept. If someone is standing, it's a problem because it's the same dirty place. If he's doing it while he's walking, it's okay. Now we asking. So now we answer Rav Huna. Rav Huna will hold that it's a problem to think in Torah in dirty places only when he's standing. But if he's walking, he's allowed to think, and he's also allowed to set Dvar Torah into the hand. The Gemara said, but Rabbi Yochanan, Achi, but Rabbi Yochanan also said like that. Ve'amar Rabba bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. בכל מקום, everywhere מותר להערער בדברי תורה, everywhere you're allowed to think דברי תורה, חוץ except מבית המרחץ, from a bathhouse, not our showers. Our showers you're allowed to think דברי תורה and listen to שיעור, ומבית הכיסא, and in a restroom you're not allowed to think on דברי תורה. So you see that, you hold that, anywhere you're not allowed to think on דברי תורה, בית המרחץ and בית הכיסא. And if so, how come here we say מותר to say קריאת שמע to your mouth, into your hand? וכי מהחנמי also hero כאן בעומד כאן במהלך, also you're going to assume the same answer, it depends whether it's standing and walking. כמו saying it's not true. והרבי אבאו, אבי קזיל בתרד רבי יוחנן, רבי אבאו used to go behind רבי יוחנן, he was going after רבי יוחנן, ואבי קקרי קריאת שמע. And רבי אבאו was reading קריאת שמע. So he was walking with רבי יוחנן and read קריאת שמע. כמעט במבואות המטונפות, when he came to a dirty alleyways, ishtik, he was silent. אמר לי לרבי יוחנן, לאיך הנדר, meaning after he passed the dirty alleyway, he asked רבי יוחנן, where should I go back to? אמר לי, he told him, אם שהית כדי לגמור את כולה, if you finish the length of the time that delayed, so you would have finished the whole קריאת שמע, חוזר לראש. You need to go back to the beginning of the תפילה. So you see that he holds that you're allowed to read, he holds that you're not allowed to read even while you're walking. Because over there, they were walking, and he asked him, where should I go back? He didn't. He told them, go back to either where you stop, or if you stop longer, you should go to the beginning. That shows that the pausing is the right thing.
Yeah.
So you cannot answer me that when he said it's a problem, only when you're standing and when you're walking it's okay, because here he was walking and yet he told them, start from the beginning or where you stop. The Gemara says, באמת, קריאת שמע.
אנחנו לומדים את זה היום לתפילה, אבל זה קריאת שמע כתוב פה.
קריאת שמע, כן, קריאת שמע, המחילה, כן. the Gemara says, דאחיקה אמר לי, this is what he told them. לדידי, רבי יוחנן, even though he answered him his question, not necessarily held like him. Rather, he told them, לדידי לא סבירה לי. I do not hold that you need to pause when you're going through alleyways because you are walking and it's okay. But לדידך דסבירה לך, according to you, that you hold that it's a problem, that you need to pause, according to you, I will answer you. אם שהית כדי לגמור את כולה, חוזר לראש. If you waited so long as you were able to finish everything, you need to go back to the beginning. The Gemara conclude, תניא קבתא דרבונה, תניא קבתא דרב חיסדא. We see Brachot like Ravuna, and we see one like Rav Chisda. תניא קבתא דרבונה, המהלך במבואות המטונפות, somebody walks on dirty alleyways, מניח ידו על פיו ויקרא קריאת שמע, he's allowed to put his hand over his mouth and read קריאת שמע. תניא קבתא דרב חיסדא, or disagree with it, היה בהלך במבואות המטונפות, somebody who's walking in alleyways, לא יקרא קריאת שמע, he shouldn't read קריאת שמע, ולא עוד, not only that, אלא שאם היה קורא, he was reading קריאת שמע, ובא and walking, פוסק, he need to stop. לא פסק מה, if he didn't stop, he continued קריאת שמע in 30 places. אמר רבי מיאשה בר ברית רבי יהושע בן לוי, the grandson of רבי יהושע בן לוי said, עליו הכתוב אומר, וגם אני נתתי להם חוקים לא טובים, the pasuk saying it on a ironic way. I also gave them bad laws, ומשפטים לא יחיו בהם, and laws that they cannot live with them. So if somebody treat the Torah without respect, it seems that they feel that they gave them not good stuff, and therefore they feel okay to say it in a dirty area. Ravasi Amar Me'acha from here, Hoy Moshche Avon Bechavle Ashav. Oy for those people who are pulling the sin with a rope of nonsense, because that's ropes, very weak ropes, because people who are sin, they carry their the people can be seen even with weak ropes, even just talking and saying divrei Torah on non-clean area, which is very minimal action, it's also considered as a sin to be punished for. Rabbi de Barava Amar Me'acha from this pasuk, Tidvar Hashem Bazah, because he disgraced the words of Hashem. That's only if he didn't stop. Let's finish positive. Im pasak mascharo, if he did stop, what is his reward? Amar Rabbi Abahu, עליו הכתוב אומר, ובדבר הזה תאריכון ימים. For this thing you're going to have, בדבר, מה זה דבר? דיבור. For the talking, for stop talking, you're going to have אריכות ימים. חזור.